This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English, episode number 88. Wow. In today's show, I am not joined by Dan the Man because there is some news to tell you about that. Dan is not doing the podcast anymore. Holy shit. That seems like a big thing, I know, but it's actually not, because what I'm going to do now is speak to different friends so you can get used to different accents and stuff like this, different people as well, some of which even went to school with me and Dan, so things won't actually be very different. Anyway, the podcast obviously must go on, the show must go on, and we are going to keep on rocking, people, so don't worry. In today's show, though, I am rocking with a friend from university, and we speak about university in England, so you will know what it's like, basically. And she's a female friend. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm a modern man. I have female friends. Also male friends, but also female ones. Her name is Charlie. And you would probably find out some other stuff about her on the podcast. Speaking of which, there's probably one small thing you need to know, which I didn't explain in the podcast. In England, to call the emergency services like the police, the fire brigade, the ambulance, we call 999, okay? It's not like in America where it's 911. 999 in England. That probably sounds a bit strange at the moment, but listen to the podcast and you will understand why I'm telling you. Anyway, it's a new show, so we have some new music from a listener. So thank you for this music, Luca. So enjoy the music, enjoy the conversation, and happy listening. Charlie Chappell, welcome on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I know this is probably the proudest day of your life to be on Rock and Roll English, is that right?
True. I mean, I have gotten married and I have birthed a child, but you're exactly right. This, for me, is the best day ever.
Well, I'm not surprised by that. Some nice rock and roll vocabulary there. You said, I have birthed a child. Can we put that as a verb, to birth?
Yeah, why not? I think we can, actually.
I'm not 100% sure if that's a real verb. Is that a verb?
Well, you birth one, then you see if you can verb it.
Okay, I'll try and birth one. If it's not a verb, we will look at this after. You have embarrassed yourself after less than 10 seconds on the show. Okay, that's probably a record.
I like to make an entrance.
Well, that's it. But, I thought you're probably nervous, so that's probably why you've made this mistake. So I thought I'd try and make you feel, at home. So I thought I would tell you that of all my female friends that have been on this podcast, you are definitely the most beautiful. How does that make you feel?
Ah, that makes me feel lovely. Thank you.
Admittedly, you are the only female friend to be on this show.
I felt like something was coming.
Well, it's not though. Think of the facts though. The fact is that you are the most beautiful friend I've had on this show. The fact. Don't get bogged down with the details. Some rock and roll vocabulary there. Bogged down. What does that mean?
To get bogged down. To
Oh, she's having difficulty. You keep trying.
To get too involved in the details.
Oh, that's lovely. I can call you maybe Clarification Charlie for that definition. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Anyway, so do you know how we start the show here on Rock and Roll English?
Please enlighten me.
Oh, some nice rock and roll vocabulary again there. She's loving the rock and roll vocabulary. Please enlighten me. This in this context basically means please tell me. We normally start with a review.
Oh, okay.
We don't always have reviews, though. Do you think we have a review today? It's 50-50.
Oh, I'd like to hope that we would.
Well, you're correct.
Yes.
It's from David Richardson, and it says, I used to think English was boring until I discovered rock and roll English. Now I'm an English addict, living on the streets and begging for hits of rock and roll English. So when he says hits there, I think he means like drug hits. Generally what you do with crack, heroin. Similar thing, rock and roll English to crack and heroin. And he says, my life has never been better.
Wow.
So, you know,
Is...
admittedly, I do know this person.
Oh, right, here we go.
But I swear I did not ask him to write a review. As I always tell the listeners, though, all reviews are fine. Fake reviews are fine as well, okay?
Fine.
So please feel free to leave a review. Also on Facebook now. Anyway, so today's show, Charlie, do you know what it's about?
I do indeed, actually.
Oh, yeah, tell us. Enlighten us.
Enlighten us. I will tell you all about it. Today, Martin, we're going to go back to our roots because we're going to be talking all about where you and I first met, which is university.
Correct. And I thought we could just talk about university in England, just so the listeners obviously understand what it's like, because I think people that are not from England have an idea of everyone sitting around at Oxford and Cambridge drinking tea, talking about the Queen. You know, is that what we did
Regularly.
Yeah, there's not much of that going on, actually.
No, sadly not. There wasn't at Reading at all.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's where we went to university. I forgot to mention that. Reading. It's spelt reading, actually, isn't it? It's a strange one. English language is a bastard for pronunciation, isn't it?
Most definitely.
Exactly. But yeah, it's mainly focused on drinking, but not drinking tea, drinking alcohol and stuff like this. Quite different, well, certainly to Italy. The first time I went to a house party in Italy, full of university students, I brought 20 beers with me. So I thought, you know, it's a house party. This is what we do. Exactly. And they were cooking. They were fucking cooking. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? What is going on?
They do not do university well.
No, that if you went to a house party in England, university house party, and suggested eating, I mean...
You'd be asked to leave.
Exactly. Eating is cheating, as we say.
Indeed.
Some rock and roll vocabulary there. Because, in fact, why don't you tell us clarification, Charlie? What does it mean?
Oh, okay. Well, eating is cheating is all about the concept that, you know, if you eat food, you're not going to get as drunk as quickly. And so, therefore, you're cheating.
Exactly. And the main aim is to get shit-faced, really. Rock and roll vocabulary again there. What does shit-faced mean? Well,
shit-faced means to get absolutely hammered.
Yeah, hammered is another way to say it. There are many ways to say it. To get very drunk. I was going to bring this up later, but I thought, you know, this is a great opportunity to do this now. Speaking of getting very hammered, Charlie, you remember a trip that you had at university to hospital once?
I do remember, indeed.
Yeah, she just went there, just, you know, had nowhere to sleep, so I thought I better sleep in hospital tonight.
Admittedly, I took the party a little bit too far.
When you wake up in hospital because you've had too much to drink, that is a good night. Am I right in thinking this happened twice or just once?
No, just the once, thank you very much. However, I'm going to add another extra little tale to this then, because amongst our close friends, we call this the night of all three emergency services. Because I, as we've already discussed, ended up being taken to hospital, having had slightly too much
I'll have to stop you there with some rock and roll vocabulary. Ended up. Oh, lovely phrasal verb. Ooh. When it's not something you intended, but then it happened. Very much like this situation when Charlie just said she ended up in hospital. I imagine it was not your intention to go to hospital. Is that right?
Absolutely was not, no.
Okay, so that's right. She ended up in hospital. She didn't want it, but that's what happened.
Yeah. And then, as often the case with students at university, our other friends, their house got burgled. This is all on the same night, and so they had to call the police.
So burgled, by the way, are when the burglars come. We can use it as a verb and steal stuff, basically, which is great. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then the final one, Mr. Johnston, goes to you, who called 999 because, in your words, the dance floor was on fire.
Well, look, I can only apologise for setting the dance floor on fire with my dance moves, okay? So that's also a term we use when it's a very stupid thing to say. If you can dance well, you can say, I'm going to set it on fire, which luckily didn't happen, so there was no need for the fire brigade to come out in the end, which is good. One thing about this, I said to Charlie before we spoke, let's try not to talk about drinking too much because I don't want to sound like a sort of drunken idiot.
No.
And so far, I don't know how many minutes we've been talking, but we haven't spoken about anything else. Notice that I said how long we've been talking. We have been present perfect continuous, baby. Anyway, let's change the subject now, Charlie, because we also studied politics together in the first year, didn't we?
Oh, we did. We definitely did.
And I can tell you, even now, I know jack shit about politics. What does jack shit mean, Charlie? Clarification, Charlie.
It means to know absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, exactly. I don't know why I took politics in the first year. I think I had like an image of myself like going to uni, which is short for university, studying politics, coming out with long hair, smoking doobies. What's a doobie?
A doobie is a joint of cannabis.
Exactly. Yeah, so I had sort of images of me doing this, talking about Karl Marx, but none of that really sort of materialised, which means obviously nothing of that really happened. The long hair, though, that happened.
That's definitely happened. That is a hell of a lot longer than when I first used to know you. Definitely.
Yeah, like back in the day. So when I say back in the day, I mean like back in the good times, let's say, when we're at university. I think I had more of a boy band sort of, maybe someone from Five kind of look.
You did, and you had your own hair straighteners that you used to do your hair with before a night out. And to be honest, looking at you right now, that hair has not seen straighteners for quite some time.
You are correct with that. So hair straighteners are generally the thing that women use, but if you're really cool like me, then you can use them as well. You know, it's men and women are the same. What are you trying to say? It's not okay for men to use straighteners?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you've changed.
Sure. Anyway, so yeah, at university in England, the first year is a complete DOS, basically. Oh, DOS. What does that mean, Charlie?
DOS means to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, like when you don't really have to do much because you only need 40% to pass the year and it doesn't count towards your final mark. So basically, everyone does the stuff that we were talking about before in the show, which we're not going to talk about anymore.
No.
So that's something else about university in England. Another thing is the student union. What happens there?
Oh, so much fun happens at the Students' Union. Obviously,
lots of cultural events.
Lots of cultural events.
Yeah.
Food. You can buy lots of different food.
Yeah, not the best food from like cheesy chips, if I remember, was the
Yeah, it's that certain. What you notice when you go to a British university is as soon as you step into the union, there's a real distinct smell, and that smell is cheesy chips. And
exactly.
It doesn't matter what students' union you go to throughout the country, you will walk in and there will be that waft of cheesy chips. Perhaps a few spilt drinks on the floor as well.
Exactly, yeah. Some nice rock and roll vocabulary there. A waft, like a big bad smell, let's say. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. But they also obviously organise nights in the student union where, again, everyone gets drunk. But they also generally like to invite sort of people that were famous at least 10 years before to come and play music at the student union. We had Gina G, didn't we? Do you remember that?
Loved Gina G.
And if you don't know who Gina G is, listeners, here you go. What a massive tune that is. I actually remember she tried to play a new song and everyone just started going, boo, boo. No one wants the new song. Get that on again.
No.
But yeah, we went to uni in the mid-noughties. So when I say mid-noughties, what do I mean?
You mean in the middle of the years of 2000s. So
yeah,
we were there from 2004 to 2007.
Yeah, before Facebook. So, you know, that's how long ago. So it's much more difficult to, for men to pull women. What does it mean to pull women?
To pull women means to find a girl and kiss her. Maybe even more.
Yeah, maybe do more, maybe more. But I'm just saying that, mate, it was more difficult because I think I'm just sort of talking for myself there. It was if you didn't have much luck, okay, it's easy now just to say, yeah, well, I was at uni before Facebook though, so that's the only reason.
Easily.
I didn't obviously pull loads of women. Nothing else, obviously, nothing else. Had to text people as well. It cost like 10p. It was expensive.
None of this all-inclusive contract nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. 10p a text. If you send 10 text messages, that's difficult to say that. That was £1. That's a drink at the student union.
And your phones couldn't even store it anyway. So you had the phone and you couldn't even keep the message. You had to think, oh, that's a good one. I might keep that one, but I'll delete the rest.
Exactly. So this is why I, never pulled any women at university. A combination of Facebook and the expensive texting.
Of course.
What else can we talk about at university? Oh, graduation. So, well, in my opinion, it's not such a big deal in England. So, big deal. What do I mean there?
So when you're saying it's not such a big deal, you're basically saying it's not such a kind of an issue.
Yeah, right. It's not such an important event. What about you? Was it important for you?
I mean, it happened. I would say.
I think that tells you enough. If I said to you now, was it important when you had your daughter, and you said to me, "Well, it happened." I think that's enough to tell you it's not very important. I've been to graduations here in Italy, and people are crying, so emotional. No one was crying at my graduation, let me tell you.
No, mine neither. I'm pretty sure it was grey and it was raining. So
yeah, exactly. You get your certificate and then you fuck off home, basically, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what about other things to do at university? Is there anything else that you can do?
Well, actually, there are societies that you can join.
This was actually next on my list.
Oh, has it now?
Because I don't know if this is true, but were you in a society?
I was in a society.
And what was the name of the society?
Well, it depends, because I was in a couple, but if we're talking about in the final year, are we talking about the society?
I think I know. So tell me, what one was it?
It was the Cocktail Society.
Exactly. You're trying to make that sound sophisticated. Oh, a cocktail. Drinking a cocktail. Really, it was the Getting Shit-Faced Society.
And you know what? I did it bloody well.
Well, there you go. What other societies were you in then?
Well, I was a cheerleader in the first year.
Oh, I told you she was beautiful. I told you. Look, cheerleader.
So
the most beautiful girl on the show, as I told you. How great does that make you feel?
Yeah.
When you were a cheerleader at university, did you ever think one day in the future I'll be the most beautiful girl on Rock and Roll English? That's the dream. It's for all cheerleaders. It's the dream.
It was the dream. And you know what? My dream is becoming a reality. I can't quite believe it.
Literally living the dream.
I could shed a tear right now. I'm so emotional about it.
Well, you could. And as well, you've just used some rock and roll vocabulary there. Shed a tear. So just like one tear to come down your face. Quite a poetic way to say that. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
So another thing at university is generally people get a student debt to pay for it. They get a loan and they pay this back for a long time. So in your opinion, was it worth the money?
Well, it's a hard one to call in some respects, because actually we were quite lucky. We went to university at a time when it didn't cost only a fraction of what it costs now, wasn't it? It cost us £1,000. It costs people now £9,000 a year. So
the problem is, though, everyone then just spends money on getting shit-faced. So in fact, I'm still paying back my student loan. And when I say paying back, I actually mean not paying it and hoping they'll forget about it.
That's the hope. There's always that rumour, isn't it? Oh, I hear if you live out the country for 7 years, it will get wiped out.
That's exactly why I'm not paying it. So it's just wiped out there. She means get cancelled. That's why I'm not paying it. I'm still hoping. That's the only reason I live abroad, because I don't want to pay that student debt. When they cancel it, I will come back to England. Okay?
Wait, I don't think we'll have you.
Oh, thanks a lot. But you can get a good job at the end of university. Charlie has a good job. She's a teacher.
I am. I'm a proper teacher, unlike some.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Because sort of becoming an English teacher in England is considered like an easy way out, let's say, which is exactly what Well, it seems that I have done. Before Charlie came on this show, I actually think I had a good reputation. People thought, oh, he's a respectable teacher. And now you have just completely belittled that. So if you belittle something, how do you explain that? Clarification, Charlie.
So it means to say something isn't important.
So basically you're saying I'm not important. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, Charlie Chappell. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here. I've really enjoyed this. I hope that I will be back to do this again.
I'm sure you will. Okay, well, anyway, thanks a lot, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that was me and Charlie Chappell speaking about university. So let's look at some of that rock and roll vocabulary. At the beginning, she said, I have birthed a child. There was some debate about whether that was a verb. In the end, I've looked at it. She was right. As she said, she's a proper teacher, not like me. So by proper teacher, I mean she works in a school in England with English children. So yeah, she is a proper teacher. I actually thought the verb was give birth, but apparently this to birth also exists. It's not really used that much, although obviously real teachers use it. We had the term don't get bogged down with the details. If you get bogged down with something, you are concentrating too much on the little things. Often, for example, people get bogged down with grammar. They don't really concentrate on the words, they concentrate on grammar too much. So don't get bogged down with grammar. We also had the term enlighten me, please enlighten me, which in the context of the conversation was like saying, please tell me. If someone enlightens you, they generally give you information about a subject you didn't know. We had the term a hit of rock and roll English from the review. So if you get a hit of something, it's usually a drug, like a hit of heroin, a hit of crack. I just want to say I don't do that. Okay, because I know my mum's listening, but I definitely don't. But yeah, you can also get hits of rock and roll English, obviously. We had the term eating is cheating. That's obviously related to drinking, which, as we explained in the show, means if you eat, then it's going to take you longer to get drunk, which is not the point. So eating is cheating. Speaking of getting drunk, we had some words that mean drunk. We had shit-faced, hammered, both of them obviously slang terms to say drunk. We had the lovely phrasal verb end up. If you end up doing something, notice the ing, then it's something you didn't want to do, but in the end you did it. In Charlie's example, she ended up in hospital. Obviously wasn't her intention. Well, I don't think it was. We had the term burgled. So if you get burgled, that means a burglar, which is a thief, comes to your house and steals something. So it's obviously not the nicest thing in the world. Notice it's used in the passive though. You get burgled because someone does it to you. You can use it in the active if you burgle someone, although I don't recommend that. Okay, please don't burgle anyone. We had another stupid term when I said I set the dance floor on fire. You can just say that when you went to a party, let's say, and you were dancing. You say, oh yeah, I was the best dancer there. I set the dance floor on fire. I just want to say at this point that I am definitely not a good dancer. We had the term jack shit. If you know jack shit about something, it's the same as saying I know nothing. For example, I know jack shit about art. Well, in reality, I know jack shit about a lot of things, but these are the first ones that come to my mind. We had the term uni, which is short for university. Many people in England say that. Are you going to uni? Are you going to university? We had the term doobie, which is like a joint that you smoke, generally full of cannabis. I also said the term that never materialised when I was talking about having long hair and smoking doobies. I said that never materialised. It's the same as saying that never happened. We had the term back in the day. We've had that a few times, I think, which means back in the good days, the glory days, let's say. We had the term DOS as well. If something is a DOS, it's something very easy. I think we explained that quite badly in the show. So the first year at university is a DOS. It's very easy. You don't really have to do anything. Obviously, it's a slang term though, so don't, use it too much. Speaking of slang terms, we had another term when Charlie said you get a waft of cheesy chips. A waft is like a big bad smell, let's say. We had the term the mid-noughties. So the noughties is the decade from 2000 until 2010. I actually don't know what we call this decade from 2010 to 2020. Well, if anyone knows, let me know. We had the term pull women. So if you pull women, you go on a night out with your friends, find a woman, kiss her, and maybe more. Obviously, though, women can pull men. It's the same, It's 2018. I have a female friend, men and women are equal. We had the term shed a tear. If you shed a tear, it's a poetic way to say I cried. Just one tear coming down your face. We had the term wiped out as well when Charlie was talking about my student debt. And she said, if you live outside of Britain for 7 years, it gets wiped out. It gets cancelled. And we had the term belittled when I said she belittled me when she said I'm not a proper teacher because, she is. And if you belittle someone or something, you basically say it's not important, which is what she did to me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. Charlie will be on the show again soon. Probably next week I will have another friend because, as I said earlier, we are going to keep on rocking people. All of this rock and roll vocabulary is on the website, rockandrollenglish.com. As we know, it works during the week, so go there during the week before the weekend when it stops working. Anyway, I will see you again next week or speak to you again. In the meantime, just keep on rocking, people.